Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending this meetup when it's very sunshine outside, depending on what side of the world you are. So, going to speak about the Elixir Scribe Tool that was aim is to write clean code in a clean software architecture. But first of all, I want to say that I'm from Portugal, but I'm based in Scotland. I'm a self-taught developer. I learned everything by trial and error and started with PHP, then moved to developer advocate in mobile API security, and then back to programming in Elixir. So I have in total of 14 years of experience, 9 as a software engineer and 5 in advocating for security. So I think I moved this. It is not working as I expected. So the Elixir tool motivation is to help us to write more clean code and in a clean software architecture. The main goal is to make us able to look to a folder structure and be able to tell in seconds or in minutes, depending on the size of the project, all domains, all resources, and possible actions on that resources. And for that, I creating lots of generators to help with that task. But this didn't start with Elixir. This started 8 years ago with PHP, where I created the resource design pattern skeleton generator that my colleagues preferred to call it a resource action pattern. That I never renamed the repo, but is why I adopted this resource action in the what I'm telling now here. This was basically the motivation is I was working in huge code bases, so where sometimes function had thousands of lines, functions, not classes, classes in ever more. So just one function will have thousands of lines, and I thought needs to be a better way, and then I created this tool and this concept. So let's talk first a little bit about clean code to set the stage for why the tool, the Elixir Scribe Tool, is useful. Before I done this presentation, I asked in LinkedIn what was clean code in a clean software architecture. I had several answers, some of them very good. I will quote some of them. None of the answers solved in a very important thing for me is that clean code needs to read like natural English. So you need to write code like if you are writing a book. You need so that others reading the code be able to understand it very, very easily. You need to avoid jargons like acronyms used by the business. You need to use the entire word, not the short end of the word, because it makes easier for everyone coming back to the code to understand what it is, and for onboarding new people to the code is a win-win. One of the most important things to have a clean code is to follow the single responsibility principle from solid principles. You can miss all the other principles, but you cannot miss this one. This one is crucial because if you have a module that handles all the CRUD actions, you have create, read, update, delete. There are 4 actions. So that model is not responsible for one thing only. It's responsible for 4. And we see that a lot in our frameworks, not only in Elixir. So it's not obeying by this rule. And this rule is crucial to write maintainable code that doesn't grow technical debt from day one and even becomes problematic later on to grow a company and its business. And I've been, in all my work, I've seen this problem. So in clean code, less is more, or even in any code. So because when you follow the single responsibility principle, you naturally will end up with small modules because you are only leading one action on the resource, the create or the read or the update or the delete or export or import or report or whatever action you are just dealing with that. So naturally, you end up with a module that is smaller. So means that if you need to go there to understand the code, to fix it or to improve it, to add a new feature, whatever, it's easier to understand. Clean code needs to be reusable and composable. And by following once more the single responsibility principle, you have your code organized to be responsible only for one action on a resource. So that makes it easier to compose and reuse it. Once you are using the code split by resource and by action, you can make it easier to not type couple it with other parts of the same domain or other domains. And that needs to be done by using, like Phoenix uses contexts to forward the calls to the real implement, kind of, because contexts sometimes have business logic there and they have lots of other responsibilities. But what I mean is to have a module like this one, where you have an API that forwards the request to the real implementation. You don't do any logic here, none at all. So this model violates the single responsibility principle, but it's okay because it's just delegating. It's just the interface to your domain, to your resources. If you follow all the previous recommendations, you end up with code that is very easy to change because you have organized everything by resource and by action. So you are able to more easily keep up with the business changes, because if someone asks you to add one more feature, you open another new folder in the resource because it's a new action. Or if it's not only a new action, you may need to create a new resource, or more than that, you may need to create a new domain. But you are not messing around with the other files that already exist in the code base. So you don't create merge conflicts because people are working in the code at the same time as you. Important. I know that lots of people don't like TDD, but I'm not advocating for TDD. I'm just advocating that you need test your code. It's very important. If you don't do it, you don't have clean code, because then the code is not easy to change, because you need testing everything you coded. So please write unit tests before you submit your merge request. If you don't want to do TDD, don't do it, but write the test after you code it, at least. So let's summarize what is clean code. Is when it reads like plain English, is when it follows the single responsibility principle, when it's composable and reusable, when it's not tightly coupled with others, with no cross-boundary calls or inner boundary calls. So you are not doing direct calls to other modules. You are going through the API. And when it's unit tested, then you have code that is easy to change. Let's dive in what is a clean software architecture that Elixir Scribe Tool will give you. So you can see a clean software architecture even if it's not done by the Elixir Scribe Tool, when you can open the folder structure and you can immediately, by just open it, know how many domains, how many resources, and all the possible actions on them. If you open a folder structure of any project and you can see that, you have a clean software architecture. I don't know any framework that gives me that in any programming language. And as a developer advocate for mobile API security, I worked with many frameworks and many programming languages. Didn't see this one time. So what are domains in a clean software architecture? Let's, for example, you are building an online shop. You have the domains of sales, and then you have the subdomain of the catalog that includes the category resource and the product resource. And then you have the subdomain checkout that has the resource order and more, because I just simplified it here. And then you have another domain, top level domain, that is the warehouse. And then you have the fulfillment subdomain that has the fulfillment product. And fulfillment product is not the same as the product in the catalog because it's a subset. You should not use the same entity. More on that later. So what it looks resource and actions in this clean software architecture. I expanded with one more level, and you can see that now in each resource folder, you have all the CRUD actions plus some others. For example, in the category, you have create, delete, edit, list, new, read, update. These are the CRUD actions plus more the actions that the Phoenix framework needs to deal with forms. And for example, in the product, you can see that you have extra actions, export, import, and the checkout order as the extra action report. So you can give as many extra actions as you want, or you can even build the domain with resources that don't have the CRUD actions, just have extra actions like the fulfillment product that just have the action build. So clean code in the clean software architecture looks like this. So you are creating a module for each action. And in real life, in a project that grows and there's lots of rules, I really strongly recommend you that, for example, you will split inside of the action folder the business logics into more files. This is just the default of the Elixir Scribe tool to give you a good starting point. But if you have complex business logic, don't fit it all in just one of these files. Spread it across different files according to its responsibilities. Okay? So what are the benefits of the Elixir Scribe tool? One of the most important to me is that it reduces complexity. And when we reduce complexity in a code base, we are reducing immediately technical debt. We are not eliminating it, but we reduce it because it's organized by domain, resource, and action. So things are not tightly coupled because when any action needs to talk with other action, it does through the API. If it needs to talk with another action from another domain, it goes through the API. So things are not tightly coupled. Still exists some couple, but done through the API module for that resources. So you don't have so many maintenance and technical debt because you are not mixing all. So it comes one developer and adds one more feature, one more thing in the module that already is responsible for a lot of other things. Everything is self-contained per action. So it makes easier for developers to get discipline when adding and modifying stuff. So in the end of the day, developers can be more productive, faster, and the business loves when we are faster and deliver things really quickly, especially features or fixing that next pesky bugs that users are complaining all the time. Folder structure is very important because it accesses live documentation of your project with the Elixir Scribe tool, and it never gets out of date. When you write documentation, be it in a README or wherever, or Notion, we need to update in both sides, or even in the code. You change the code, if you don't change the documentation, it gets outdated. With this folder structure, you have the code split by starts in the domain, then subdomain optionally, and then resource, and then action. This never lies. You open the folder structure, you know immediately everything that the project is responsible for. No lies here. This makes it very easier for you to onboard new developers to the project. If you arrive somebody new to the company and you tell him, I git clone this project and please find the bug when creating a product. How much time will the developer need to find the file where to start to look? Pretty much seconds, because of all the structures really helps him with that. The resource API is very important to be always used for inner domain calls and cross domain calls, so that you don't tight couple the code and then you can move things around, refactor the code as you please. Since you don't touch the API, everything is fine. And you have a monolithic, you want to move to microservice, you have a lot of things made easier to you because things are not tight coupled. They all go through the API, so it's easier for you to grab a domain and move it out to a microservice. You still need to architect stuff and chase stuff, but at least the folder can be moved straight away and you don't have to do many changes because the communication with that domain is all done via the resource API that you just need to keep on your current project. I will recommend one resource that is very good to help us with splitting the domains and optionally subdomains when grouping the resources. This talk from German for using the DD concept domain-driven design into writing Phoenix contexts. You can also apply this to the Elixir Scribe Tool when you want to understand how you can split your code by domains. And in this talk, German talks about the example when a product is not the same across all domains. This is true for any entity. We always use the same entity in our code base for everything, but we shouldn't. I really recommend you to see this talk. It's really, really good on that regard. I'm finishing my talk. I want to say that I'm open to work. Unfortunately, I'm unemployed, and I'm also open to be sponsored in this Elixir Scribe project or to create any other library that is lacking now in the Elixir community. So I am proficient with PHP and Elixir, but I'm open to work with any programming language or stack if the company is willing to let me learn during work. So thanks for attending my talk. I'm now open to questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paulo. This was a very interesting talk about a tool which is not only one I expect to make a lot of our lives easier, but also to boost the quality of our work. So we highly appreciate this approach you've shown, and I'm very curious what questions we are going to see in the chat. I'm going to open the Q&A mode. Just let me just open this up in a second. Right, so the Q&A mode has been turned on, and I think we already have comments from Bill first and Anton. So I'm going to pin the first one, and we are going to go straight into the discussion. So, okay, the questions and right. First of all, great presentation. My question is, what do you say to some people that having a structure like this is too confusing? I've had people in the past say that when you structure it like this, there's too many files in too many folders, and it's easy to get lost. So that's an argument brought up by Bill there.
Yeah, it's always the thank you, Bill, for the question. And if it's the Bill, I think it is. Uh, yes, he was one of the first to give me personally that uh, opinion. But yes, it's a very frequent opinion that I get about having too many files open. Personally, I don't see it as a problem. I really dislike huge files with thousands of lines that I need to keep scrolling. If you are working in a feature, okay, for example, you are working in the you to have many problems with many files and get lost means that the scope of the task you are working is too big. You are not splitting your task enough. You are working with a big scope, so you are working in the product and you are working in more than one action of the product, and then you may be working in other resources too at the same time. Normally, in my experience, that means that was poor planning to tackle the task and was not split enough.
Yeah, this is something quite a few people might stumble upon, I think. I personally am the kind of person who tends to prefer, for example, the fuzzy search feature and search in general to actually keeping special care of things being sorted alphabetically in the code, or doing a very sophisticated folder structure. But I know many people out there prefer like very specific places to put stuff in by convention, and that's a good thing because it's really a good approach for teamwork, because you can be very specific explaining where things are to people who are new in the project, and you have rules that you can follow, and you have you know some foundation for the structure that keeps unchanged throughout the lifetime of the project. So um, there is probably a trade-off to be struck somewhere there when convincing people to follow this methodology. But I guess it's even if it's sometimes maybe too fragmented, for lack of a better term, to some people it might be a step in the good direction. So
Can I
I'm
make a
very
comment?
open to trying this out in the future.
Just let me say one thing. You still have here a foundation and where people know exactly where to add stuff, and better, you don't need to tell them because it's intuitive. If you open the folder structure, you understand that you have it split by actions, and if you need to add a new action to the project, you understand immediately that is in that folder. Don't need to read documentation. You don't need to read standards for the project. I think it's more intuitive. But yes, is the huge argument that I always have, even when I was presenting in PHP and the project, and now in Elixir, is always the first argument that comes up: too many files. And in my experience, I experienced the problem myself too, until I start scoping better my work and splitting my work in small tasks, incremental tasks, to get to where I wanted to complete the feature, and then it doesn't become some a problem as so many people say, because they are used to work in big scopes maybe.
Yeah, I guess this is pretty important to find the right spot in terms of the need to break things down into individual pieces. And I guess the single responsibility principle is really a good one to follow. And if it's reflected in the folder structure straight from the start, then you don't really need any fancy documentation around that. So I guess this might be the way to go. So yeah, moving on to the next one by Anton. Let me show this up. Right, so we can close this one. Okay. We use this approach to split actions to separate modules, but that led to greater duplication. For example, edit and update actions would be 80% the same. To generalize this, code developers could create util modules, for example, product util EX, and it would become a huge pile of functions, not SR at all. So did you have such problem, and how did you solve it?
I don't think you are talking about the update functions, the crude actions that don't have any business logic inside of it. I don't abstract it. I don't try to be smart with the code because that bite me in the past. I was a very keen developer to be smart and to not do don't repeat yourself. I was going to great extents to that. I don't do that anymore. I don't mind if he's doing the code is pretty similar to the other resource, the product or the category to update. The code is pretty much the same, only just change the name of the entity. I don't care. Is there to if you want to call it duplication, be it. But for me, it's not real duplication. It's doing almost the same, but not exactly the same because it's updating a different entity. And later on the road, your business guaranteed it will come with an idea. I need you to put this rule. And then if you have an abstraction, you go to the abstraction, you put each statement in the abstraction, and it is not an abstraction anymore. I hope I didn't misunderstand it.
I think well, it's similar to the question you face when approaching designing a DB schema and deciding on whether you want something to be strictly normalized or you want to denormalize because you think of some entities as clonable or stuff like that, and then you realize then that just treating two chunks of, for example, code as totally the same is maybe not the way to go. Because if it's simple enough, then maybe do a small amount of duplication, because just it occurs that at this given moment it works exactly the same. It's not really what you need. And the other thing I had in mind is that um, I think people tend to introduce util modules to some extent in situations where actually this should not be a utility module but might be treated as part of a business domain actually.
Yes,
So
I agree.
if you end up having very large modules just for the sake of having pure functions transforming one form of data into another one, then it's probably not um, good to be treated as a util module anymore. It's should be part of your business domain, and you by hiding this in utility modules, you just like lie to yourself that it's not really part of the domain because it's just like a side aspect of the work, or
Yeah,
something very repetitive. It is part of your domain, and um, if you think about this way, you might be able um, to just escape this trap of inflating responsibilities of util modules. That's my take.
I, I agree with that, and this is why I told that in the action folder you want to split it in more modules, depending on the responsibilities of each thing. And if you need to really have an utility, uh, do one module per function of utility, if you want to say, when it doesn't fit the business logic really. If it's really agnostic of the business domain, really agnostic thing, put it elsewhere outside the domain folder, call it the utils folder, and then name the module name after that exact thing you are doing, and don't put any more function there. just that one function, nothing more. You should obey to the single responsibility principle in any module that you write, except when you are writing models like the one that I showed that is an API, acts as an interface. If you have business logic in a module, you only want that module to be responsible for one thing and nothing more.
Yeah, I am just going slightly to break the order, and I think Bill's comment sums this up pretty well. Paraphrasing great author Sandy Metz, duplication is cheaper than the wrong abstraction. So that's I think that's a clever take on this. And
Thanks, Bill.
yeah,
He keeps me saying that quote. For everyone to know, Bill and me worked together at NN4M in the time that I created the resource design pattern, and he was the one that renamed it to resource action pattern. So he knows.
so I'm happy to see two old friends meet up here.
I was not aware that he was coming to the meetup.
Yeah, that's all the more impressive. Great. So there's another comment from Bill that one way I look at it is if you have fewer files, the complexity is still all there, but it's just all in one place. It's like if you have a toolbox and you just throw all your tools in, compared to having a toolbox with separated sections for each tool. So that's Bill's take.
Yeah, it's a take that you told me the past several times. It really boils down for people that prefer big files to people that prefer things contained. So each one should do what it likes, but really try this approach. But when you try this approach, if you are trying to work in features with big scope, then you may feel that you really have to have lots of open files at the same time. But if you try to break down your task in very, very small steps, you will find that you don't need that many files open at the same time, and you really can work faster and better. Doesn't matter if it's with the Elixir Scribe Tool or whatever programming language you are using. Always try to split your scope as much as you can and do it incrementally.
Great. Thank you for your comments on this. I think we'll wait for a few more questions, maybe from the chat. If obviously, Paulo, if you still have some time left, we can afford that.
Yeah, no, I just want to ask people to really try the tool in a toy project. And I asked before trying it in a toy project to first see the German video, because it really opens the mind for you to be able to choose the domain names and split your code is really helpful. And you can even, if you don't use the tool later, you can still benefit from what you learn from German to adapt your code and your day-to-day life, and you can work and have a better code base that is more organized, even if it's not split by resource and action.
Right. Do we have any more questions here? Thanks a lot for this wonderful session. We'll implement these photo structures in my POC. So that's also what I encourage you guys to do. I think this is going to be a good exercise, and I'm
Just
also yeah.
Just a quick observation. Currently, the main branch doesn't have any generator there, just the wipe branch, but the wipe branch can be broken at any time. I put there a branch called Curiosum Meetup 31. That branch will always work, and I will not touch on it. So until I release the first generators to the main branch, that will happen sometime this month, I hope. You can use the Curiosum branch to do your POCs and try it out. And you can find me in LinkedIn or Twitter, or open an issue or a discussion in GitHub so that we can exchange ideas, and I can help you in your journey with the Elixir Scribe tool.
Right. Do you use Discord, Paulo?
Yes, don't use too much, but I have an account there.
Yeah. So if you join the group, the server on Discord that I just posted again, then we will also highly appreciate that. Maybe there's gonna be a discussion
Okay,
following the meetup
I
there.
will.
So,
I will go there for sure.
yeah, and one more comment in the chat, which I think we can show in the center. Rohinton Kazak says that this should be paired with the requirements gathering tool.
Don't. So I don't really. We can. I would like to learn more about what it means by this. So if you want to open a discussion in GitHub, I would be pleased to discuss more about this. Uh, I have a lot of plans for the tool. If people start accepting this, at the moment there's 45 stars, and I didn't have released yet any generator just because of the concept. So if people really embraces this tool, I have really a lot of plans for it, and it will have you will be able to, with an LX extract or something, or a YAML file or something on that thing, to say everything you want your project to be, and then the tool will build it for you as much as possible. So you just declare a file, kind of, or even I also plan to do it from an open API spec to generate all the code for you.
Great, thank you very much for your answer. I posted the correct link to the Discord server
Okay, thank
just
you.
a moment ago, so apologies for the broken one before that. I think we are more or less done today, unless there's some final words you want to add, Paulo.
Yeah, I just want to really, I'm really pleased that everyone had attended to this talk, and I was afraid that no one would put the questions in the end, but I see that a lot of people is really interested in the tool, so I'm really glad, and I want to see discussions around of it so that you can help me shape the future of the tool. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Paulo. It's been a great day having you on board in this meetup. It was a very interesting presentation, very interesting tool, which I look forward to trying out in the near future. So let me just bring up the next meetup, the announcement of the next meetup we are going to have just in a month on the 11th of September. Anton Frolov, who's with us today, is going to present a talk about memory debugging tools for Elixir. So we look forward to hearing Anton speaking about this, and I will post a link to join the meetup and subscribe to the next one again, so that you remember to join us when it's live. And before that, I want to thank you all, and obviously thank you, Paulo, for this great presentation, and thank you to everyone who participated today. And just as a final thing, I'm going to give you the chance to provide your feedback about this meetup in a brief survey. So if you will, please do take your time to let us know what you think about the meetup, and give us any feedback you would like us to hear about this. So thank you very much, and see you next month.
Bye.